All right, we are live. It is Friday. It is time for Total Bases. I was joking with the boys off air. The last week made me realize that I don't have many hobbies outside of this. I've been bored as hell. I was on college basketball message boards for the past couple days, and I'm like, what am I even doing here? It's July. Thrilled to have baseball back, and I got to bring this point up, and then we'll bring you guys in and start talking about this. Robert S. makes a point that I thought about this morning where I just couldn't believe this, and he's right. How can you have a 4-day break and return on Friday morning with 8 teams that don't have a starter listed? Or 8, like there's literally 4 or 5 games that aren't even listed at most books right now that don't have a lineup because they don't know who their starter is. And yeah, how is that possible? That's frustrating. I know I have holes in, my list here because certain teams haven't figured out a starter yet they've had a week to do it. Have you guys noticed that as well? Have they popped at your books, and any thoughts there?
Well, the thought is during the first half of the season, or once the second half gets going, they have the rotation and everybody likes to pitch on their certain day, 5 days off, 6 days off. So if you followed Strider yesterday, you know that the guy after him is so-and-so. So that's the way it is in the regular season. But when you get the break, let's say your 5th starter is due to pitch. You don't want to start the second half with your 5th starter. That means he's going to get one more start than he should get.
Sure.
So then you switch back and you go from your 1 to your 5. But even a lot of times, depending on who you match up with, just on that first series, I'll say, well, let's say you're playing a team that's really good against lefties. Well, you may not want to start your lefty against him. He may be your 3rd starter. You move him back to the 4th starter. So I see what it is. It's just frustrating where you don't know exactly who it is. The Yankees really, I don't know what they're gonna do because they've got Fried is injured or came back from an injury. He's got a blister, so he's probably going to start. But if the blister is bothering him, maybe he doesn't start today. Who knows?
I'm seeing the Angels, Royals, and Yankees the only teams that don't have their starters list. I see every other team with a starter.
I think they've started to pop up. I know like an hour ago to maybe 7:30 a.m. when I was really kind of making my first like real pass through it. I noticed quite a few without starters, but
I missed baseball and I missed doing a show. I missed baseball. I missed doing a show, but the 4 days gave me a chance to kind of put my stats in a nice format. So I put them downloadable free on my page on wagertalk.com. So you guys can go do that and use it for your DFS or anything. That's how I filled my time. Brian, did you actually talk to your wife?
I actually downloaded that and it looks really nice. I had to talk to my wife because it was my 30th anniversary over the weekend. So,
okay, that's a good excuse.
We went out and had a nice dinner and saw a show, so it was very nice.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to take a break and stuff, but I'd rather be doing this. That just straight up rather be doing this. I'd rather figure out these games, even if we have starters or not. I will say this, and as we go into the first game that we're going to cover, Markinson wants to cover Guardians A's. That's one we have starters for, and I think we're all going to kind of have opinions on that. So we're going to kick off with that one. But I will say, like, I approached the 3 days out of the break similar to I approached the 3 days into the break because you'd never really know who's going to come out ready to rock and who might be still sleeping a little bit. So I always find this weekend particularly very interesting, and I'm willing to. I kind of tread a little lightly, kind of the same way as I go into the break. I didn't even make a play on Sunday for that reason, and I'll be pretty tight here because of that. So Brian, Leonard, let's go to you. A team that I would say started to play well going into the break. Your Cleveland Guardians, they're now at home as a favorite against the West Sacramento A's. You went to this series out in Sacramento. Now they're back in Cleveland. How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, it's I just want to touch on something about starting the second half. You mentioned the way the first half ended. That Sunday, and I said this going in, unfortunately we didn't have a show that day, so I probably should have tweeted it out. But your last day like that is very similar to your last day at school. You just can't wait to get out of there. The umpires want to get home. The players want to get home. And 2/3 of the games went under. I think we're going to have something very similar today. So you have hitters who haven't hit in 4 or 5 days. They're creatures of habit or whatever. A lot of the pitchers who made the All-Star team starters did not take the time to go to the game. They wanted to rest up for today's start, and the other guys have already been rested from a starting standpoint, and all the bullpens are rested. So this, if you like to play in unders, this is a great way to do so. Unfortunately, this was probably going to be my best bet when I went to bed last night. These lines have been up for a day or so, so it was easy to tell who was going to play. But I wanted to play this game under. It was 8.5. I said, this is going to be my best bet on today's show. And here we go with the line moving. It's now down to 8 everywhere. Actually, it's leaning a little bit towards 8 under. Cleveland's about a 130 favorite in this game. So everybody saw the same thing as I did. Didn't get it out to clients soon enough, and that's my own fault there. But we've got JP Sears going, and he's one of the guys that should give Cleveland problems. He's a lefty. Comes in with a 4.79 ERA, not very good, but expected ERA is 4. His WHIP is 1.25, and you had mentioned when they played Cleveland last time, he went at home. He went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. I was at that game, and he was pitching very well. Then he kind of fell apart, a couple of walks, a couple of questionable calls by the umps, and then he got shaken a little bit. So I think he'll come back and pitch a better game here. He's a fly ball pitcher. He's only in the 4% ground ball percentile. So that's not good. But for the most part, unless you hit it in right center field, the ball is just normal here in Cleveland for the weather for the home run power in that one. But we also have going for Cleveland is Slade Ciccone. He's been good since he's come back. He's got a 3.44 ERA, 4.76 expected, so maybe a little lucky. WHIP 1.27, but he can be hit. If you take a look at his average exit velocity, 4th percentile, chase percent 4th percentile, hard hit rate 4th, and barrel 7th. That's not what you're looking for. His numbers look pretty good this year, and I've actually watched him. He's been good. He's usually a guy who doesn't walk batters. He's walking 7.8% right now, but he's a big strikeout to walk guy. He's up 16.3, which is better than league average. So I like the under in this one, but unfortunately, my clients aren't going to get it because I lost the 8.5.
So I was told I should only drink Fireball when I have something to celebrate. I just won 2 KBO bets, so I'm going to celebrate for a minute. And, oh, that's so good. Regarding this game, I have the A's kind of better at everything, but just a little bit better. I mean, their bullpen performing better, but you guys know me. I'm big on current form, and after a 4-day break, current form doesn't really mean as much. These guys are creatures of habit, and everything is very fluid. So after a 4-day break, kind of don't know what to expect. I do know that the A's have a little bit better hitting and a little bit better bullpen. I also know that Ciccone has really bad numbers at home for some reason. His ERA is quite bad. JP Sears does not have good numbers against these batters, but I don't want to take an over because some people are saying in the comments, hitters are still a little bit in vacation mode and pitchers are all rested. So generally I would look to unders today, but I don't know if I'm going to do an under in this game. The A's, they were crushing the ball right before the break. The Guardians weren't. A's bullpen is a little bit better. If anything, I'd go with A's, but I'm probably going to lay off it today.
That's how I feel too. I think there's some value here on A's money line plus 120. They're the type of team where just the makeup of the A's this year, a lot of young kids, a lot of kids in their first full big league season, some in their first big league season at all, guys like Nick Kurtz and, Jacob Wilson came up for a little bit last year, but I think I've talked about it a couple times at this point. Like, they're the type of team they're gonna be streaky. They're gonna sort of like it's gonna snowball in one direction or the other. And I don't think that they like suffer from a few days off, because I don't know that half of that team even knows what their approach is yet, right? Like they haven't even figured out their routine. They're just young kids that are happy to be up playing Major League Baseball. And a lot of other organizations, they might not even be in the big leagues yet, if they were behind more seasoned players, more veteran players. So the A's are the type of team where they roll into this series. I kind of agree with you, Tokyo Brandon. I don't think there's that big of a difference between the A's and the Guardians. That's how out I am on the Guardians as a whole. Certainly the Guardians are going to win more games than the A's this year, but I'm talking about the caliber of team that's on the field is not that different. And so you're talking about coming into a spot where neither team has played for 4 days. The Guardians maybe sort of, they had some momentum before the break. Maybe they've lost it. But when you go back to the price, being that you're getting plus 120, I still have Sears rated a little bit higher than Ciccone. The one other thing I'll throw out to you guys, Slade Ciccone spent a lot of time at Reno, okay, the last couple of years in the Diamondbacks organization. So there's 10 teams in the PCL. All of these guys in the A's lineup have seen him a ton, because, they play every single time Vegas plays Reno. They'll see Ciccone at least once. So there's probably a huge sample size here for the A's hitters against Ciccone. That's probably not, it's not at the big league level, so you're not going to hear about it. But I bet these A's hitters top to bottom have seen him a ton. And he's not the type of guy that's really, if you've got a beat on him, you're going to be able to hit Slade Ciccone. So A's money line is the way I'll go here. And as I talk about it, I start to like it even more. But I'll go to Ethan's comment for a second. Yeah, this is a very challenging weekend. Last weekend coming into the break, this weekend coming out of the break. Ethan, I agree with you. It's as challenging of a week as you're going to find in the entire MLB schedule. So, but I do think there's some value there with the A's, and we'll move on. So Titan CT says, can we discuss Brewers? This was one that I don't think many places had a line for, but I think it's probably popping up right now. Brewers Dodgers. We got to get this one in on the show. Someone asked who's the pitcher here. My guess is if it's either Quinn Priester or it's Quinn Priester as the bulk guy. I know last time around they put Hall in front of him, and Priester, it seems to work. So Bryan, Leonard, I'll go to you. Brewers Dodgers, they really like putting Priester in this bulk role, and he seems to be able to give them 5-6 good innings every time they set it up that way for him. So I thought there was a little value here on the Brewers, but do the Dodgers wake up to start the second half is the question. We'll go to you.
That's what we talked about. And to get back to the last question, I think the week going into the break is worse. That's the one, and for the most part, I think we all struggled that week. But this one I don't think is that difficult, as long as you know who's going to pitch. And to me, the best way to know is when all the teams are equal. We talked about the bullpens. All the teams in the bullpens, they might have pitched in the All-Star game, pitched one inning, whatever. But for the most part, all the bullpens are equal. So you know that's given information. And if you've been keeping up on the bullpens, you know who's good and who's not. And obviously Brandon does that with his numbers. In this one, the line is Glasnow basically about a 185. And line's 8.5. Glasnow came back and pitched one time since he's been back from being injured. It looked pretty decent in that game. So you got two pitchers here that Priester's really having a pretty much of a breakout year. 3.55 ERA, 3.73 expected, 1.25 on the whip. Very good ground ball rate, 95th percentile. That's a very good number to have when you're playing the Dodgers, who are very similar to the Yankees in many ways, where home runs mean so much to this team. The Yankees have always been one that, at least the last decade, is very important to them. They've been having trouble. That's why they go on such a slump sometimes and are very streaky. That's something to take a look at. And as for his opponent today, Glasnow, good pitcher when he's healthy. great pitcher many times when he's healthy, but he's not always healthy. His career ERA is 3.80 after 10 seasons. Each of the last 3 years, his ERA is basically the same, 3.52, 3.49, 3.53. You know what you're going to get out of him. His whip this year is a little bit high at 1.22. Great extension. He's in the 100th percentile extension. So he's 6'8", and that ball gets on you in a hurry, and it makes all his numbers look really well this year. It's a limited sample size, but his chase percent, walk percent, and barrel percentage have not been very good. He's only pitched 23 innings, but he's a guy that when he's in a lineup, I like to back him. Because of his injuries, he's not one of the bigger name pitchers in baseball, but if you follow baseball, you know how good he is. Looking at the line in this game, as I mentioned, Glasnow about 185 at 8.5. I would tend to the under in this game. I think Glasnow will give him a good 4 to 5 innings. He'd probably want 6, but with all the bullpens there, we've got anybody they can use. And these are two teams who, hey, may see each other in the playoffs. So this is a big series. They're going to want to try to intimidate the opposition if they do play in the playoffs. So I expect pitching to rule this series.
So here's another thing I did over the break. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got a new neon sign there that says Tokyo Brandon. Is that cool or what? So, yeah, things are good. So people are asking me to share my strikeout projections for some pitchers. Just go to my page at wagertalk.com. I have all my strikeout projections for all the pitchers who were listed as of yesterday. Some of them popped up today that are not on the list. But if you go download that, it's easier than me checking it and putting it in the chat. I don't mind doing that, but anyways, regarding this game, I badmouthed the Royals about 8 shows ago, and the Brewers, and since then they have been like wildfire since that series against the Mets. I have them ranked better than the Dodgers at everything, but again, my numbers are very current form reliant, and there's really no current form after you've taken a 4-day vacation. So my numbers, I'm not trusting my numbers very much right now. Give me 2 games or so to get them back on track, to catch a little rhythm there. But I do have the Brewers doing better at everything than the Dodgers. One thing interesting here is Glasnow's numbers against the Brewers are impeccable. But I think most of those were acquired when he pitched for the Rays, probably. Probably not as a Dodger. So again, sometimes when you look at head-to-head matchups between pitcher and batters, it was in a totally different situation in a totally different stadium. I mean, the Rays aren't even playing in the same stadium that he was pitching in, and the Dodgers. I mean, now when a pitcher has a good lineup behind him, he tends to get a little more motivation to pitch. I think Glasnow is going to have a good second half of the season. I agree with Bryan though. I think this one will probably go to the under. I think we'll see a couple of lineups that are a bit stale after a break, and we got 2 really good pitchers. So I would think an under in this one.
I like the Dodgers here, and I would not be surprised if the Dodgers slap Milwaukee around all weekend. This feels like the more I think about it now, I did think there might be some value, like +1.5 on the Brewers, but when the line came out and I was looking at it, and the more I sort of look at this, I know I probably contradicted what I said at opening this play, but the more I look at this, I realize Milwaukee's one of those teams that might really get hurt by the break. I mean, they've been a little streaky this year. They go into the break winning 7 straight games, as hot as they can possibly be. They swept the Dodgers. So now they go to Dodger Stadium. But what I'm thinking about as you two are talking, that kind of has me maybe flip from, okay, like Brewers, yeah, there's going to be some line value on the Brewers here, no question. But wanting to maybe play against that or not wanting a part of the Brewers is the fact that they just smacked around LA last week, and now they're heading out there. And I do think there's some merit to something Bryan said the last couple of weeks, where, the Dodgers kind of go through the motions. Now they come out of the All-Star break, and there's got to be some sort of hey, all right, it's time now, right? There's 2 months of the season left. You guys are the best team in the league. Go show it. Sean's correct. I think we'll get the full complement of Glasnow pitches here. I think he was pretty much full in that last start at Oklahoma City. And then there was probably a conversation like, why push it going into the break when you know what I mean? Like, we're going to go into the break. You know, you're going to get some extended rest here. So it makes sense that this would be like the shackles are off type thing, 90 to 100 pitches. And that is, again, like if he's on, like if you watch his last start, the stuff was there. He walked a couple of guys. But I think if he's like back to even close to what he should be, I mean, this could be like a 6-7 inning, very strong outing for him. And that should put the Dodgers in position to win. So contradict myself at the open here, but I do still think, so two things can be true. I do still think there's going to be some number value on the Brewers in this series, but I won't be taking that number value. I think the Dodgers are probably, I think you're going to see the beast wake up over the next couple weeks here. And so I won't be going against that. So I think it would be Dodgers or pass for me here. Let's talk about another team that was hotter than the sun going into the All-Star break. And that's the Boston Red Sox, who, you know, they got a lot of heat for the Devers trade, but they've played much better than the Giants since that trade. Like, win-loss record is much better than San Francisco since that trade. I don't think that has anything to do with Devers, Bryan Leonard. I think that's just, getting like guys like Roman Anthony, getting a few weeks under their belt at the big league level. That is the future. This team is going to be good. Like, they were probably always going to be good without Devers going forward. And so, listen, you can criticize how that happened. Certainly, if they shopped it around, they probably get a little bit more in return. But I feel like the odds makers really held that against the Red Sox for like a couple weeks, like held it against the team that was on the field, that their front office maybe made a questionable trade. This Red Sox team is very good. Roman Anthony is going to be a superstar, and I love the way this team was playing going into the break. So my question to you is, now that they have the day game on the road at Wrigley to open up the second half, do they get sort of stunted by the days off and maybe not carry them their momentum into this weekend? How are you seeing Red Sox Cubs?
Yeah. When a team is on a big winning streak, last thing they want to do is take some time off and get away from it. It definitely plays a factor in my mind. I want a team that's focused coming out of the break. Boston on that big winning streak, they're fat and sassy, as Marco would say. And it's usually a team that you can make money on because the lines are going to be more inflated because everybody knows who the hot teams are. And you've now had 4 days for that to sink into everybody. Is, hey, I didn't realize, especially if you're a casual fan, you just watch the All-Star festivities, you don't follow the standings. Maybe right now you see, hey, how about this Boston team? So, yeah, that's what you have to go take a look at. And Giolito's going against Ray here. Ray's about a 128 favorite. Line total open 8.5 under 15, and now we're seeing just as many 8s to the over 20. So a little bit bet on the under in this one. For Giolito, he's been, talk about hot. It's kind of gone under the radar how well he has done. He's only had one bad start in the last. Let me check out his game logs here.
Yeah, since the Angels game, when I called for him to be DFA'd and sent out of the organization, so I'll take the L there. I was like, they gotta send him away, and he's been awesome ever since that. So
he's gone 6 innings, 6, 7, 7.2, 6, giving up 0, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0 earned runs. He's been terrific. His extension's 85th percentile, so he gets right on. He's 6'6" also. Another one of these tall guys get right on you. But some of his numbers are a little weak. Expected batting average, 10th percentile. Hard hit rate, 22nd. Exit velocity, 18th. The weather, it's a typical day in Chicago. It's not overly coming in or going out, blowing in or out. So it's your normal day in Chicago. And so we'll see how that goes. Colin Ray is doing very well this year, although some of the regressions come in later on the last few starts. 3.91 ERA, 4.95 expected, 1.26 whip. His walk rate, 81st percentile. Doesn't walk a lot of people. He's only walked 6 per 9 innings as of right now. That's his percentage is 6%, which is about 2.5% lower than league average. But he gets hit a lot too. A lot of blue on his profile. So we've got 2 teams coming in here off the break. Obviously, you have to worry about that. And a lot of the Boston players are younger. A lot of these guys are just coming up now, and they're all coming up together. Really, about 4 or 5 guys. This is their first All-Star break in the major leagues. It's a little bit different than the minors. We still have it at the same time, but obviously this means more because now they're a star. They're playing in the major leagues. So some concerns that way. While Boston ended the first half red hot, the Cubs kind of faded a little bit. And there was a lot of talk earlier, and I still think so, that the Cubs are, other than the Dodgers, are probably the team to beat in the National League. So they've got more to prove here. Kind of like them a little bit here, going against the streak. And I see a little bit of value on the Cubs with the read.
It's time to celebrate because we're going to do a promotion. And I think Brian's going to have plays out. Adam should have plays out. I already have a play out. So go to our pages at wagertalk.com and get some of our plays. That's worth celebrating. So take a shot and get some of our plays today. We also put free plays up almost every day. So go grab those as well. So the way I'm looking at this, I mean, Giolito, I was a little wary when he came back this season because he didn't go through spring training properly and everything, but he's vintage Giolito right now. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that in his last, 5 starts, he's gone 6 or more innings and he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs. He's given up 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 0 in his last 5 starts. And he's gone over 6 innings in every single one. That's amazing stuff that you can't argue with. He's got really good stats against these Cubs as well. The only red flag when I look over this is the fact that he's on the road. He's not quite as good as he is at home. No, take that back. On the road, he's got a 1.95 ERA in 37 innings, and at home, he's got a 1.87 ERA in 37 or 35 innings. He's just as good on the road. Give me Boston on the money line, and I'll make that my parlay leg as well. Let me see what their odds are. Currently plus 120. Holy cow. Why is Boston an underdog in this game? That makes absolutely no sense. I have them better at everything. I have their bullpen better. I have Giolito better. I have their hitting better. Obviously, the Cubs have a power-packed lineup, no doubt about it. But again, current form, it's a little scary. You got to bet something, though. I'll take Boston on the money line for the parlay leg because I have them better than the Cubs at everything. And Giolito, he's elite Giolito right now, in my opinion. That's why.
I'm not seeing any 120s, but I see 115s out there for this.
Okay. ESPN 120, but like we've said in past shows, ESPN's not really.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox have taken a little of respected money in the last 30 to 45 minutes because that was plus 120 everywhere about a half hour ago. Right before the show, I had that jotted down plus 120. I agree with you that the value is on the Red Sox for sure in this game, in my opinion. I was a little bit surprised to see them as big of an underdog as they are. Problem for me here is like, and I'm gonna side with you here, TB, just strictly based on the price. Because again, like I can't believe Giolito's done what he's done. I have to go back to, I played against the Red Sox in that game with the Angels, came on the show the next day, and I was like, see, I was right about Giolito. Send him to the glue factory, basically. And he's been Sandy Koufax ever since. Like it's honestly been incredible to watch how good he's been. Problem is, I look at like some of his underlying metrics, and I don't see anything to support that being the case going forward, like going long term. So we've now had a first half, and we've seen Giolito be god awful. And then we've seen a run where he's been very, very good. Now we've had some time off. I don't think he's going to be very, very good like he's been the rest of the year because some of the underlying stuff suggests that he's not going to be. He doesn't have an elite fastball. He's spotting it well right now, but none of his stuff is elite. So what happens when he's not pinpoint anymore? And like he's, does this little layoff get him out of his groove? If he gets out of his groove, he's very hittable. If he's hittable against the Cubs, they're going to make him pay. Now, the saving grace here in this matchup is I think you can say a lot of the same things about Colin Rea, like where he kind of lives on that edge too. Stuff isn't great. If he's really not pinpoint, not hitting his spots, like he doesn't get a ton of swing and miss. And this Red Sox lineup, in my opinion, is still very underrated. I think it goes back to the Devers trade and this mindset that everyone decided, when I say everyone, I mean the betting market decided that the Red Sox just lost their best hitter. And now we need to price the market as such. Red Sox traded away their best hitter, so we need to ding this team in our power ratings because their best hitter is now gone and they got no one back to replace him. When in reality, his replacement was internal. It was getting guys like Roman Anthony more at bats. It was freeing up space for Wilyer Abreu to come back, moving Kristen Campbell back down to AAA to figure things out, to get more at bats for guys that are hitting. That was the other thing. The Red Sox had a little bit of a player crunch in the outfield there. And so it was almost like addition by subtraction. So I really like the Red Sox lineup and I like this team. So I'm not going to disagree with you. I gave my reasons why I can't play it, but I certainly agree with the value being on Red Sox at plus 120 because the Cubs, in my opinion, are trotting out almost the same team today with Rea on the mound. And I think they're two similar lineups at this point. Andy Lang's in the house. Shout out Andy Lang. Yeah.
Because it's a parlay, I'm going to change it to Red Sox plus 1.5 at minus 180, if that's okay.
It's fine. And you know what? Because it's a parlay, I'm fine with that. Because it's the road team, I think you give yourself a much better chance to cash that leg. I have no issues with that. What did you say that is? That'll be my
official for the parlay. I wouldn't put that out as a client play, but I will put it out as a parlay leg.
Yeah, and that's a good point. If you're going to bet this game straight, I think you have to either take the Red Sox on the money line or find something else or pass. But for the parlay, I have no parlay
on the first. I don't want to ruin it on the morning game.
It's fine. That's the way I would have gone as well. Andy Lang, thank you. Good to see you. Good to just have baseball back. Second half, hope to kick it off with a bang. And Bryan and I will be locking in parlay legs over the next 30 minutes. We finished the first half on a little bit of a swoon, but still, TB, why don't you put the Tokyo Brandon neon sign where the ass man license plate is? So then when you're 3-boxed, you don't just see ass, you see the neon sign. And then when you're full screen, you got the ass man license plate down low.
But I am ass.
Well, not this morning if you went 2-0 and
Ryan, what was that? Don't shake your head. Don't nod your head. I'm not ass.
Appreciate Andy tuning in. Make sure you're tuning into Wager Talk today. Now that we got football coming back, that show is going to be on fire going forward. It's going to be a go-to for football season, and we are pretty close. We're right around the corner, but we got a couple weeks left, so you guys are stuck with us for a few weeks until football really gets back into full swing. We're going to move right along. Andrew Wheeler had a couple. I'm going to go to the one everyone's going to be interested in here. Andrew Wheeler says, I also like the Tigers today. I don't know who he was replying to. I'm going to guess it was Sean. That would be my guess. I don't know if that's who he was replying to. Maybe it was Colin. Colin says, hey, hate to say it, but good value on the Tigers. Now, the Tigers were the team, I think we talked about it on Friday, our most recent show, which is Friday going into the break, that the Tigers might be the team that exhales a little bit. Like, they've done more than enough, and maybe you don't get their absolute full focus going into the break, and you certainly didn't. They were, that was not the Tigers team. They kind of, that just was not the Tigers team we saw all first half in those 3 games against the Mariners. And you know what? The Mariners needed those games. So I think it's Bryan Leonard. I'll say this. That series was so much more important to the Mariners, especially after they lost to the Yankees in the fashion that they did. that it doesn't surprise me that the Mariners went in, were more focused, and got the sweep. AJ Hinch is not going to allow that to happen to this team coming out of the break. I think you're going to see a focused Tigers team here, and that's kind of the way I'm looking. So Tigers Rangers, we'll start with you. How you seeing this one?
Yeah, might as well put it out now. The Tigers will be my part of the parlay today. I do like the Tigers here. It current line's about minus 108. And to me, that's a little bit of a bargain. As you mentioned, the Tigers, we said it, they were up by 13, 15 games in that division, and they were having a cakewalk. A lot of young guys that's not used to that kind of success. And all of a sudden, they go into the break and they're not playing well. And we've talked about the coaching staff here, very good coaching staff. They'll be ready here, especially when you think about the All-Star game and all the Tigers players. Oh, these guys they had more All-Stars than anybody else and all this other stuff. That's all in the past now. The coach is going to let them know that, okay, you've gotten your props for what you've done so far. This is a new second half to the season. I think there's value here. Corbin is going for Texas. He's a lefty. Detroit is pretty good against lefties also, so that's not much of a concern. The total is 8.5 here, which is makes sense to me. That one I don't find any fault with the total. When you take a look at Reese Olson, he's a guy I like. He has not been that great this year. 2.95 ERA. He's not been 2.95 good. His expected is 3.83. So, and a whip with 1.24. He's got lousy extension. Average exit velocity has been getting hit. Our hit rate, obviously, very similar. He does have a great whiff percentage at 83rd percentile. His chase rate is 74. So he'll get people swinging a lot of those balls that are in the dirt, that kind of thing. He's a pitcher I like, but hasn't been quite as good as what his numbers show. Patrick Corbin, 4.15 ERA, 4.61 expected. His first under 5 expected since 2019. So obviously pitching for teams he has hurt that. Washington is a really good hitting ballpark, but his whip 1.32. His extension is very good, 77th percentile. 73rd walk rate, 72nd chase rate, but he does give up fly balls. He's in the 26th percentile in ground ball rate. Not a big strikeout pitcher, 25th percentile. His strikeout minus walk ratio on the season is 11.9. League average is slightly less than 16. So I like the Detroit side here. I think they'll get to Corbin. And when it comes to the bullpens, that's something you always have to take into account, but they're all healthy. And I've got no problem with Detroit's bullpen. I like them better than Texas. Give me Detroit. I think it's a very, very fair number.
Well, the way I see it, I got Texas hitting better, and I got their bullpen better than Detroit's. The problem is Olsen and Corbin, the matchup. How does that match up? So I got a lot of conflicting data here. I got Corbin ranked way lower than Olsen, but I have both of these pitchers in facing the other batters. They both get clubbed like baby seals. I mean, they're just getting hammered by the other team. They have OPSs over 850 for each of them in their history against these teams. I think this game's going to go over. I like both lineups better. I don't like either bullpen very much. So I think we're going to see an over in this one, given the pitchers past against the batters and the fact that neither bullpen was really performing before the All-Star break. So give me an over in this one. I'm not sure if I'll play it. If it's 8.5, I might go for it. But I would go over here rather than a side.
Well, hopefully Pete is not in the chat. But that's
here.
Yeah, that's anyway. Here's the thing with the bullpens. I'll talk about these bullpens because I've studied them a lot. And the Rangers, their bullpen numbers are so good this year. And I find it fascinating that their bullpen is good as it is because they really don't have leverage arms. But what they do have is a collection of guys that are all very good. So I think the Rangers having a good bullpen tends to be a little bit misleading because their bullpen, I think the strength of their bullpen is, okay, our starter's out in the fourth. Like, we've got guys that are going to get us to the eighth, ninth inning, no problem. They don't really have a guy, at least right now. At least no one has really stepped up and taken the role, in my opinion. That is the guy you want out there in the ninth inning or the 10th inning. Go back and look at, like, the Rangers have played some decent ball. Go back and look at, like, how poor they've been in extra innings over the last month or so. It's because they get, like, these inherited runner situations, and they really don't have, like, the lockdown guy at the end of the game. The reason I think that that's important is they're kind of this team that's, like, I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. Their offense is not such that I don't think they're blowing many teams out. This team, the strength of this team is pitching, starting pitching. Like, if you go back and look at the first half where they ranked, like, the reason that they're not 15 games under 500 is because they've had elite starting pitching and the bullpen has been very good in the respect that they eat up innings. Now, against a team like the Tigers, who you're probably not going to, if the Tigers come in and they're focused, you're probably not going to blow them out. If you get into a scenario where you're in a game where it's like coming down to the eighth and ninth inning, you're not going to outmanage AJ Hinch. You're not going to out bullpen AJ Hinch. So it's like, I got to lean Tigers here. And I hate to say it because, Patrick Corbin's my guy, Clay, New York native, right around the corner from me. He is going to regress. And I pulled Sean's comment up. I don't know that he's regressed quite to 2024 Corbin, but he is still getting some nice swing and miss, and specifically, I think against teams that struggle against left-handed hitting pitchers. Bryan Leonard pointed out the Tigers they handle lefties well, and if he's not getting that swing and miss, I think he's going to start to get knocked around a little bit. So yeah, this is a really good spot for the Tigers, and I probably would have thrown it in the parlay if Bryan didn't. So I'm glad that he got on that. I fully agree. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to Andrew, because this was the other one I wanted to touch on. I think this is an interesting matchup. I've got an opinion here too, but we'll go to Bryan Leonard first. He says he's not a huge fan of Verlander. I'll admit again, I backed the Giants with Verlander for a 5%er in his first start out. It was against the Guardians, and I just kind of played the hunch that he was going to show up ready to pitch, and the time off we were going to get a little vintage Verlander out of that. I've watched him pretty much every start since, and I'm almost ready to stick the fork in him, Bryan. I think he might be done. I don't know. What do you think? And are you willing to bet on that? Here is the question.
Yeah, not something I'm going to doing other than holding my nose to do it, because yes, it's he has not done well. In fact, he's got 0 wins on the season, and I read something the other day that for this far into the season, he's got more innings in or more starts and has 0 wins than anybody else. It's just strange how he hasn't gotten any support. He hasn't pitched well either. But Bassett is the going for Toronto, about 140 favorite. Totals 8.5 here. Verlander on the season comes in with a 4.70 ERA after a 5.48 last year. Last year, maybe some excuses. This year, maybe he's just getting old. 4.82 expected ERA, 1.42 whip. The last 2 years, his whip 1.42, 1.38. That's what's giving him problems. When in his prime, he would walk anywhere from 4 to 5 batters a game. Now he's walking closer to 8. Last 2 years, his strikeout rate has gone down 19.9 this year, 18.7 last year. Just 3 or 4 years ago, it was 33. So he's a guy that's trying to hold on to his career, and I don't blame him for that. He's got a great life. He got a hot wife, and life's good for Verlander, but he's got to start producing. And this is a really big game for him, I believe. Bassett going for Toronto. Chris Bassett to 4.12 ERA, 3.81 expected, 1.35 whip. The last 2 years, his whip has been really high. Last year was 1.46. His walk rate isn't bad, 6.3. In fact, is better than league average by over 2, but he gives up a lot of hits. And his strikeout rate, 22.4. So he's at 16.1 strikeout punch walk ratio, slightly better than league average. Average exit velocity, 82nd percentile, hard hit rate, 87th. So he keeps people off balance, and that's what you do when you're a veteran with 11 seasons with 81 career wins. He's 21 games over 500, and I've always thought of him as being a good pitcher, not a great pitcher, and he's still having success. For this one, for myself, in a breakdown from the gambling standpoint, I don't want Verlander, but yet you've got to think this is one of the most important starts of his career. This is a team that's trying to make the playoffs. Toronto, the hot team, as opposed to some others coming into the All-Star game. They were playing very good ball. Could have a little bit of a letdown here. Somewhat like San Francisco, but probably the over 8.5 is probably the better play here. In a day that I like a lot of unders, I think this one may go over.
The only time it's good to be 0-7 is when you get to go home to Kate Upton. But aside from that, Verlander's away ERA is almost 5, and Bassett's really good at home. So I give a huge pitching advantage to Toronto here. Bullpen's pretty much even, and lineup, obviously Toronto has a better lineup. What an interesting thing about Verlander is he's not pitching well at all. He's 0-7, but he's not really walking that many people. I have his walks to strikeout ratio in the good range. I have Bassett in the average range, but Verlander's not walking a lot of people. He still has his command, but he's just getting tagged. So pitching advantage, Toronto. Bullpen, no advantage either way. Both bullpens will be rested, and so I think Toronto has a bit of an advantage here. It's misses making a client play for me by about 1.5 here, but if I were to play it, it would be Toronto.
Me too. I'm so high on this Blue Jays team and I like the, excuse me, I probably like the Giants more than the next person. But it would be like, so here's the thing. So I follow Ben Verlander, that's Justin Verlander's brother, on social media, and he kind of pointed out, he's a baseball media guy. Like he's in the MLB media. So he kind of pointed out like that Justin Verlander has been pretty unlucky in some of his starts. And I'll say that, I mean, he was very unlucky in that first start back against the Guardians, where he had a couple of guys just not make plays behind him that led to like almost all the runs in that game. But what you can't hide from is the underlying metrics, right? Like whether you've been lucky or not, you can't hide from the fact that he's giving up hard hit, the fact that, he's not getting a ton of swing and miss, the fact that his expected ERA is close to 5. Those are the things that, like, I think take luck out of it a little bit. So that's where I'm just like, okay, I had to go back and look and say, you maybe the right fielder in that start, got like lost a ball in the sun, and then like the next hit was an RBI single. Yeah, stuff like that's happened. But we've got a big enough sample now since he's returned where like all the underlying numbers suggest he is what he is at this point. Bassett, I mean, aside from the fact that, he throws 90, like, that he doesn't throw with, like, he doesn't give you a ton of velo. He's been very, very good. Guys can't square him up. The location is awesome. And so, like, for me, Blue Jays it's kind of a no-brainer here. I just didn't like the price. Minus 145 is a little too steep for me. So from a matchup standpoint, I'm very much all in on Toronto, being like, I think that they are bordering on being like an elite team in the American League. I felt that way for a couple months now. I could only go Jays. I'm not going to do it because of where the price is, but it would have to be Blue Jays for me. I got to go back. I just want to go back real quick till we get to the next game, to something, to the last game we talked about. And I just want to put, Chad Picard made a comment that I forgot to touch on, saying the Rangers are playing better right now. That's facts. I couldn't help but think about Kevin Pillar when he announced his retirement, if you heard him talk when he announced his retirement, he basically came out and in so many words said like no one on the Rangers like hangs out with each other. Like basically everyone just does their own thing, and they have very little camaraderie in the clubhouse, to the point where he was like, you know what? I probably would have gone till the end of this year, but I'm just going to hang them up right now because I'm just not having fun. That is so concerning to me. Does that concern either of you guys when you hear something like that? I'll go to Bryan first.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you get somebody to come out talking bad about his team or good about his team, whatever, you want to pay attention to that. Yeah, it's been a team that's had some struggles, but they've now got the shortstop back. He's healthy. I would expect a better second half out of Texas, but yeah, that's the kind of quote you like to get.
To me, not so much. I mean, yeah, I mean, on the field, I don't know how much camaraderie really means. I mean, if you really like your pitcher, you'll make an extra effort to grab the ball for him or something like that. But I mean, when these guys go on the road, a lot of them do hang out together. And that aspect, the off the field aspect, yeah, I think it would make a difference for morale purposes. But on the field, I don't know if it affects performance that much.
Just an interesting thing. I thought, guys had such a long big league career. He's in what seems to be an organization that's committed to winning. And then you just hang him up. I know he was probably saw the writing on the wall that he would have probably spent a lot of the rest of the year down at Round Rock, and maybe he didn't want to do that. But that comment was jarring to me.
These guys don't want to go to the minors, that's for sure, because you don't want to go around in a bus when you're used to, first class jets.
Steven says, elite show again, gents. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Steven. And, give us those likes, subscribes, comment on the YouTube channel. Tokyo Brandon wants to promote something. I know he does. So go ahead.
I just got a question. Is our Three Amigos special still valid?
No, but I think the special that's up. So while we're on the topic, I think right now there's an all access special for all handicappers where they'll throw, it's basically just the month of August, but they'll throw in the rest of July. So cool. the sooner you get on that, the more free days you're going to get, because July is free. And they're going to run that special the rest of the month. So, you buy it now, as opposed to next week, you're just getting yourself a free week. So that is the site-wide special. It works for any of us. It is get August and you get the rest of July free. And right now that's over 2 weeks free. So not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. All right. Let's go back to the chat. Let's go to Rick Reynolds, because Rick is curious to hear our thoughts on the Mariners in the second half. Is this the year they finally make a move for a bat and take the division from Houston? And how convenient they're playing Houston tonight. So we've got a nice little segue here into that game, which is honestly probably could have been at the top of the show for sort of like marquee matchup in terms of just like, that is a huge series, Bryan Leonard. Astros Mariners. I think it's the last game on the board tonight. Maybe a little bit of a degenerate special right here, at least for us out on the East Coast, 10 o'clock start. You want to answer Rick's question, and how are you seeing Astros Mariners?
As for the Mariners, they've got some pluses and minuses. They haven't brought the guys they've brought in have not worked out well, and so it's hard. It's a hard place to hit in. For the most part. But, the weather situations, bring your family to Seattle. It's sort of like here in Vegas, it's very, very, very major weather situation you got to take into account when you go to move there. But they've had some injuries to starting pitchers early on, and they should be able to get those guys back and pitching more innings in the second half. And that's what they are. They're a very good pitching team. So I would expect the second half to be better. You got three key guys that should be back and all pitching in the next week here. So, from a team standpoint, now we'll see what kind of, for a betting standpoint, it all depends on what kind of numbers we get. But for a team standpoint, yes, I think they're going to have a better second half. Current number in this one, Walter's going for Houston, Castillo for Seattle. Seattle's about a 130 favorite, total 7.5. Which you would expect here in a good pitching ballpark with a couple of decent starters. Walter, the lefty, who's who's done pretty well so far this in his rookie or second season, but he only pitched 9 games out of the bullpen last year. 3.98 ERA, 2.92 expected. That's why I say that he's pitched better with his numbers. 1.01 WHIP is excellent. This is the guy that doesn't walk anybody. This is one of the guys that Tokyo Brandon loves, and that's Brandon Walter. 1.2 walk percentage. League average is 8.4. He is not a guy that he's going to make you beat him. And his fastball velocity is only in the 13th percentile. Maybe eventually everybody will catch up to him, but right now, walk rate 100 percentile, exit velocity 96th, chase rate 93rd. This is a guy that I like. I like him a lot. And when we get to Seattle, obviously we're going with the veteran, and he's been okay. Luis Castillo has been a guy that comes in with a 3.41 ERA. He's been solid on his ERAs. His career is 3.54. His expected, though, is 4.45, so he's been a little bit lucky. WHIP 1.24, a little bit high. His strikeout rate is what concerns me. He's been a major strikeout guy in his career. Just, let's go back to just 3 years ago, his strikeout rate was 27%. It's gone down to 24.3, and this year it's down to 20.6. Doesn't have it. His extension is only in the first percentile. So if you're losing your strikeout pitch and you're giving him more time to see that, that's not something I want to bet on. Most of his StatCast numbers are in the blue, and blue is bad, red is good. So I prefer the Houston side in this one. And you're getting them at, like I said before, about 118 on the dog. That would be my preferred side in this game.
So, guys, I have broken down almost every starting pitcher, their hits projections, strikeouts, walks projections, outs projections, and that's downloadable for free on my page at wagertalk.com. Also, I'll be on Saturday, tomorrow, noon Eastern, to break down Saturday's games. So tune into that as well. Regarding this game, I do agree with Bryan that Brandon Walter is a great pitcher. Earlier shows, I was saying, well, we don't have a sample size. Well, we have a sample size now. And Castillo, he has great stats against these Houston batters in his career, but that's when he was a stud, and he's not that anymore. He's still a very solid pitcher, but he's not the pitcher 2 years ago where he would go 7 innings every game and allow 2 or less earned runs every single start. He's not that guy anymore. He's more of an innings eater now, a very reliable innings eater, by the way. But he's, like Bryan said, he's not the dominant guy that he used to be. He's still a very good pitcher. But I like going into the break, though, Seattle's bats were on fire. This is the problem with the All-Star break, is teams like Seattle are probably going to cool off now. And I do like Walter. The one thing that scares me going over all the stats and stuff, the first play I wanted to lean on, if you download that sheet, you'll see I project Walter over 17.5 outs recorded. And that's what it was on DraftKings before the show, was 17.5. The reason I'm not going to make that a play is because his away stats are alarming. He's, I think, a 4.7 ERA on the road. No, it's a 5.7 ERA on the road. Ryan's right. He doesn't walk people. So even though he has a 5.7 ERA on the road in 22 innings, he's only walked 2 guys in 22 innings. That's amazing. So he's not going to walk people. But given the fact that Seattle was hot going into the break, I don't know if I can trust him to go a full 6 innings here. So I probably will lay off that play, but that's the way I would go if I were to play it.
So I will first address Rick's question about like Mariners in general in the second half. I'm very much in on this Mariners team. I've taken some positions on them just, throughout the season. I have Mariners to win this division. I've got Mariners, and this is not something I've given out to clients, but I've talked about it a bunch on the show. I have Mariners to make the playoffs. I think they do that. I even think if you can get 4-1 or better, I have no issues with you jumping in on the Mariners to win the AL to win the AL West. I think when it came up last week, TB. We even said, like, you shop around, there were still 6-1s out there. I think last week when we talked about, maybe last week or like 10 days ago, you could get 6-1 on the Mariners to win that division when they were like 6 games back. The specific question that was asked, can they finally make a move for a bat? I think they definitely can. They have one of the most unique trade pieces that you're going to find on the trade market. And it's catcher Harry Ford, who's currently at AAA. And the reason that that's so, like, most teams, when you have a catcher like Harry Ford, who projects to be a very good starting catcher in the big leagues, typically you don't trade that guy, even for a short-term fix. But the reason the Mariners can really consider doing that is because they got a guy named Cal Raleigh who's not going anywhere for a very long time. And they've already sort of messed around with Ford at different positions, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's the guy that you can really make into an outfielder. You're probably not going to DH him. So I think what the Mariners should do and can do is trade Ford, and they would basically be able to fill any need that they wanted. So I think Rick is implying that the need is another bat in the middle of that order. There's not only do they have him, they've got like 4 other guys at Tacoma right now that probably could be on a big league roster. Tyler Locklear, Samad Taylor. They're all guys that maybe on their own don't have a ton of trade value, but like if you packaged a couple of them together, they could absolutely get back the person that they wanted. So to answer your question, I love the Mariners in the second half. They probably will finally make the splash and get the guy that they want to provide some protection to Raleigh in that lineup and provide some pop. And they can take the division from Houston, in my opinion. And so I'm not going to play this game, though I lean Mariners, but I'm not going to put you off playing, even if you can get 4-1. Mariners to win the AL West. I still think there's regression here for the Astros, even if they get a little bit healthy. Brian, sorry, did you have something to follow up there? I didn't know if you were trying to get in. All right. We have reached the end of the show. My parlay leg is a leg that we've already discussed. And I'm going to take a play out of the Tokyo Brandon playbook right here. I'm going to use A's plus 1.5. Brian Leonard, what's the juice on that?
A's plus 1.5 minus 182.
Perfect. Good. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what minus 180, minus what. So basically the same as, so TB and I are both going the route of let's try to hit this parlay, take the visiting team and give ourselves that run cushion with the road team. And then we'll let Brian Leonard give us the odds with the Tigers. So today's show parlay, first one of the second half. Hopefully we kick the second half off with a win. Tokyo Brandon is on Red Sox plus 1.5 full game. These are all full game. Red Sox plus 1.5. I've got the A's plus 1.5. And then Brian Leonard has Tigers money line. That comes out to plus 366. I'll take that. We need a win. And I think this one, I think if TB can get us through that first leg, we're going to cash this one. So
pressure.
But I mean, hey, you're feeling great right now. So I feel like if you say Red Sox this afternoon, I feel like that's going to be it. So
I'm feeling great.
So that's it. Red Sox plus 1.5, A's plus 1.5, Tigers money line. We're back to the normal schedule next week, Monday through Friday, every day, 9 a.m. for the rest of the season. So hope everyone has a great weekend. Cash all your tickets. Check out that great promo on the site that gets you the rest of July free if you buy August. And we'll see you Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everyone.